Welcome back to Buckingham Business Review. We are a video magazine that examines the intersection of people, strategy, and tactics. And this is our third segment with Leslie Kuban with FranNet. And we have been learning tons, literally tons, about the business of franchising and specifically matching candidates who are interested in franchising with the appropriate franchise opportunity for them. Leslie, I'm going to, kick off this next segment by personalizing some questions. If I think franchising is for me, if I'm one of these displaced executives, my job's not going to return, and I'm thinking of franchising, what's step one? How do I approach you, and what do you need to hear from me to get the process started?
Sure. Step one with just about everyone I work with is I want them to gain some education under their belt. Okay. Franchise business ownership is a great career and investment vehicle for a lot of people, but it's not for everybody. And franchising is just one form of business ownership, which is appropriate for some people and not for others. So to that end, I would invite you to a class that I teach several times a month called Straight Talk About Franchising. I want people to come, really hear the good, the bad, and the ugly about what's involved in starting your own business, what's involved specifically with franchising. And some people, feedback they give me is, thanks very much, but this is not for me. So that's a win, is that...
Well, that's a good screen because that prevents a future failure.
I appreciate everyone's time is valuable, and so attending the seminar as a first step is a really good way for people to gauge, is this really something for me to spend my time with? And for those who do want to pursue it, we use the proven match assessment tool that I mentioned.
Yes.
We sit down and have a 2-hour, typically a two to 2.5 hour meeting where we're discussing, first of all, the geography where you would want to have the business is a big influencer on what your choices are going to be. Options available in Seattle are not the same options available in Atlanta.
Makes
so
sense.
We've got to use that as a filter. We look at your skills, and when I'm looking at your resume, I'm looking at what were your roles and accomplishments, not the industry or companies that you were coming from. We're looking at what were your core skill sets that could transfer into a business of your own. And one of the best strategies to look at is identify what are the types of franchise businesses where the role of the owner is going to really leverage the skill sets that you already have. You know, what kinds of businesses are you pre-wired to succeed in based on the skill sets that you're bringing into this? And that's different for different people.
Absolutely. Another specific question that's just Bernie Wolford talking, it's the industrial engineer in me coming out. Any environment into which I am placed, I look for improvements. It's just in my DNA. I see ways to make it better, operate more efficiently. I want to make those changes. I want to take it to the next level. How much freedom do I have generically in a franchise, and how much am I confined within the way the person giving the franchise wants me to operate the business?
And that actually is not I can't give a generalized answer to that. That really is more down to the industries. I would say franchise businesses where government regulation is a lot more heavily involved are going to be, there's a less leeway to be creative, as we like to say, in franchising. But in general, companies have to evolve or they're dying, and that is true for franchising. So good franchise companies are constantly innovating, they're constantly evolving and improving their business model. And where that information and insight and testing comes from is from the field.
So I might have an outlet for some of that.
Yeah, I mean, I understand where the question comes from. And yes, there are some franchise-specific companies that are extremely rigid. Others are very flexible. So that actually becomes a criteria point that I bring up with people is, how important is that going to be? Do you want something that is clockwork and all you do is show up and turn the key and follow steps 1, 2, 3 and that's what you're doing? Or is it important to you to be a part of an organization that is more fluid, that there needs to be more creativity on the franchisee's part to continue to fine-tune and evolve the model as the company grows and as times change?
I think it just once again reinforces the comment you made a couple times, how important that first 2 or 3 or 4 hours is up front, getting to know the candidate, left brain, right brain, to use the cliche, and so forth.
Very much so.
Well, we are visiting with Leslie Kuban of FranNet and learning a lot about franchising. And we've asked Leslie to return and do one additional segment in which we're going to continue down in the weeds a bit on the actual capitalization and formation of a franchise and maybe some regulatory issues and so forth. So We hope you will join us for segment 4 with Leslie. Until we're together again, this is Bernie Wolford. Thanks for being with us on Buckingham Business Review.